Welcome everyone to Generation Dan. We are -1 of Generation Dan, but we are waiting on a friend is going to fill in. Kealeen Griffin is going to be joining us very shortly. I hope she's okay. She's just running a little bit late. But how's it going there, Cole?
Pretty good, pretty good. You know, I made the mistake of drinking 1.5 liters of wine and then taking. That's not even the best part. I took a nap after that, and then I had to wake up.
Oh,
That's why I was shirtless when I first got on camera with you. I was like, I literally had just woke up.
that's fantastic. This is the crazy part about all of it is that as you see, you're young, you're like, oh, I drank 1.5 liters of wine, just took a nap, I'm up and I'm ready to go. And it's like, oh God. I'm like, I always like live my life like my parents. I was the only one that got to fight for no curfew. But I was like the last of 5. So like my parents had no more fight in them. They're like, fine, do as you please, you piece of shit. And I'm like, thanks. So they were like, but you have to come do this stuff Saturday morning. Like I had to go knocking on doors. And I was like, fuck. So I'd come home at like 4 o'clock in the morning and then be up at like 7 o'clock, breakfast.
Oh.
And I'm just like, yep, no problem. It's all good. Like everything's gonna be fine. Oh, we just a little coffee and get a little coffee, maybe some espresso. It'll be fine. It'll be good.
Dude, yeah. I hate you for that because, like, I see my youngest brother. He's 14 now, and he'll just say anything to my mom. Whereas me as an adult, I feel like I'm getting away with shit when I'm telling her my stand-up routine. You know what I mean? Like, she used to beat my ass for the tiniest shit, and my brother who's 14 would be like, Mom, I would appreciate it if you didn't talk to me like that. I'd be like, yeah, just alarms going off in my brain. I'm like, she's gonna murder you, dude. And she doesn't. She just doesn't.
Well, see, this is the thing. Is Serge asked what kind of wine? By all means, and thank you, Serge. Sorry, we were running a little bit late. We were waiting for Kealeen, and I hope she's okay. But we're just waiting on her. This is the thing. It's not like this is for fun, right? So it's whenever she can come, It'll be great. She's
There's
very.
where did the bottle go? Carlo Rossi, some cheap $10 wine.
Sweet sangria. That is not, and it's 1.5 liters bottle. That is.
It was $8 actually. So for 1.5 liters.
Which is technically
the double
bottle. It's that's 2 bottles. So you bought a $4 bottle of wine
twice.
Mm.
It's actually cheaper that way because it's $5 for the regular size. So.
Yeah. Well, if anything, you're just being prudent. You're being prudent about.
Not when you drink both bottles.
Well, there's that. There is that. Hey, there we go. We're ready to party. Hello and welcome.
Hi. Sorry.
What? You have a real life where you have to do things? Oh my God! Don't worry about it.
What you got there?
Nice. Cheers.
Champagne and beers.
Oh yeah. What? I don't know what the champagne and beers is.
You know what the
Miller High Life. God, you're young.
Yeah, I'm not old enough to drink champagne yet. So.
You know what though? Is if you actually, I would used to drink Miller Genuine Draft. That was a good one too.
Oh wow! That was a little bit before my time. Even though you're a year older than me, like just a year older, but for some reason, like Bud Ice and MGD were kind of like on its way out when I went to college.
Yeah.
See, that
sounds about right.
Drink beer still around me. It's Bud Ice. Natty Daddy. Like I haven't.
Somebody drinks Bud Ice. You're like that person has a problem.
My 92-year-old second cousin, my mom's cousin, God rest his soul, he drank Bud Dry.
A man of culture, it seems.
Canadian. He used to be the driver for the Irish ambassador to Canada.
You know what the worst part is? Like it's so
His
weird.
doctor prescribed him beer in the hospital. I'm not joking. Like he had the can with the prescription label on it and everything. They didn't want it. They didn't want him to have the DTs in the hospital.
That's funny.
Hey, he lived to be 92.
Listen, this is the difference though. Is men used to be tough as shit. Like men were like a bag of nails. It was ridiculous.
Oh,
right?
but he was like pinned thin. I mean, yeah, he was a tough old bastard, but he was pinned thin. You know what it was? He never had kids. Well, I mean, that he knows of.
But I married an Irish girl. I know what that shit's like. Her best friend is from Russia. Okay, my baby mom, like Russian, like was born in Russia, came here. I don't know why.
Spy. You mean a spy? That's what
probably.
No, one of my friends from good friend from high school ended up marrying a Russian guy who came over here like on like a scholarship for playing the violin.
Listen, this is the crazy part is now there are just people from every nation everywhere, right?
Oh,
like
man, why don't they just stay where they are?
No, like that's the thing is it's a like unique experience. No, I'm not that bad. But it's like
I do not care about immigrants.
Okay, but you gotta like
I don't care about anything actually.
Hold on. My wife is Chinese, right? So there are times when like
that's racist.
Her friends from
she's
youth,
Oriental.
Oh my God, Oriental is racist.
Oriental's worse.
Oriental describes an object, not a person.
That's what they are.
No, it describes an object, not a person.
My information could be outdated. I don't know.
Guy, it's like all the books you read in school were definitely from the 50s. Like, there's not one
books in school.
Like, it wasn't even a lot like long ago. They were just like, we just didn't update anything, just nothing at all. That's.
I didn't read any books in school. You're wild.
My wife was born in the UK, so she
nobody's Singaporean.
Nobody's perfect.
Exactly right. But I would talk with her friends as well, and they would send me pictures of like a Japanese man speaking with a Jamaican accent who is extremely dark skinned, and you're going, okay, it's real.
Yeah.
It's definitely a real thing, but you're saying going, I just have a lot of I just have questions. I just have questions because, you know.
Well, that's like Peru has an entire subculture, like Asian subculture to it, because they had a large influx of Asian immigrants. It's called like their cuisine, I think it's called like Nikkei or something like that. And it's like a mix between indigenous South American cuisine and Japanese cuisine. It's really interesting.
There's also an entire like city in Argentina that is like all German. They speak German.
That's my grandpapa.
Yeah, this is my grandpapa. He was a famous war hero. You're like, which war?
No, it's Kate McKinnon. Her Angela Merkel was like, oh, my grandpapa retired.
Dude,
my mom was mad at me for rooting for Argentina because she still views it as like the Nazi retirement home.
That's fair.
That's ridiculous.
Against France, no less.
I like Lionel Messi, so.
Well, listen, it was predicted 4 years ago, and of course, it's
the guy who had the daughter that hangs out with Paris Hilton, right?
Oh my God!
Like, he's lying because
night long.
It's just completely full of baloney. I love it.
Actually, she and I share the same birthday.
Nicole Richie?
Yeah, same year and everything.
She's so hot.
Hey, I just do you guys remember The Simple Life?
Oh yeah.
It was like
when they had to work at Sonic for like a day.
Oh yeah, their little show.
And she went to the bar, and Nicole went into the bar and like fucked shit up and like destroyed a pool table.
Yeah. It's funny when you look at where reality TV started, and you're like, oh, it was just like the crazier the better. Just bring them
we
on.
grew up on the real world was like Puck.
Yeah.
The Simple Life actually really shaped who I am as a person. It was one particular quote. My mom was watching it when I had been like maybe 10
Wait a
years
minute,
old.
your mom wouldn't let you watch SpongeBob, but she let you watch the
She
Simple
wasn't
Life.
letting me watch it. I happened to just kind of walk in the room while she was watching it. And
I just imagine you like hiding behind the couch.
I totally was just trying to figure out what this shit was. My mom was watching like Sopranos and shit. I was interested. You know what I mean? And Paris Hilton said, if you never want to have any responsibility in life, just do something really bad after somebody asks you to do something, and they'll never ask you to do it again.
Oh
yeah. I've lived my entire life by that since then.
Oh no, I worked with so many guys like at the Gap who were like that. Like one of the guys I worked with, his name was Chance. He went to high school with Adam Driver, actually. But he would like come in and he would go back to the fitting rooms and go in like the handicap fitting room and say, hey, let me know if the manager's coming. And he would just go there and take a nap for like 2 hours.
Hell yeah.
And like anytime they'd assign him to the register, he'd pretend to be so bad at it.
Okay, that one's fair though. Working cash is not an experience I recommend to anyone. Like the only bad part about self checkout is that it takes away jobs. But realistically, the idea of somebody having to do that it's a horrible.
It made the time go faster for me.
Exactly.
Yeah, but then like if some money comes up missing, they always blame you. Like,
oh no,
you're right, but like
it's just
Millennium Park in downtown Chicago with like the Bean and everything. I was their nighttime accountant as a part-time job when I lived there. Yeah,
oh, really?
for the restaurant groups, I had to balance the books at the end of the night. No, it was such a pain in the ass.
I know, I get that.
And I had one of those managers who was like such a dick, but like tried to be cool.
That's just a manager.
And we would
it's just all managers.
No. Like behind his back, we would do the sexual harassment panda song from South Park. Sexual harassment panda.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's the one reason I don't want to be a manager of anyone, where I'm like, I have no interest in controlling anyone else's existence. I'm like, I don't have a handle on what I'm doing.
Oh, the best people for the job are like the last people who want it. Seriously.
I just feel like every workplace should have like a fight club. Not a big one, like just like with gear. Like you have a mask and like teeth guard. But just a little like.
Oh my god! You know what that was? That was the faculty versus students, like volleyball and basketball games. Where you could see like this dude, Bill Flatt. He was a wrestling coach for high school kids, but he taught 7th grade math where I taught, and you could see him like working out his rage issues during that game. And he was good too. But I was like,
"Fuck you, Timmy."
I said the only reason that Bill Flatt has not dropped out of a heart attack is because of the faculty student games.
Yeah, it balances him out. It's like a little just pressure release. Yeah. See, that's I used to be decent at volleyball.
I used to coach.
We had a shop teacher who was a character of a human being. Like he would also like he'd like to give you like upbuilding advice and like from right here, and you're like, bro, number 1, this is weird advice. Number 2, the breath, not okay.
Oh no!
Like it was tart, if I could say it. It was a tart breath where you're like, is that? Grapefruit? What? It's burning my eyes. I don't understand. And sure enough, he would sub in for some of our gym classes, and I'm just like serving them. I'm just like, oh, I'm just gonna go with and I hit it bad, but it was like it really, I feel like it was a subconscious thing because
and you nailed him.
his glasses, like, oh,
You
everything
could hear
fell
the
down.
wind coming off the ball.
That happened to me during the first serve of the first volleyball game I ever coached.
Which one of us is beeping? Let me know if we're still beeping. Sorry, go ahead.
But the first serve of the first volleyball game I ever coached, because I was the co-coach, like, and I did the stats, like, as you know, she did like the subs and I did like the stats and in the lineup, and I looked down like for a second, and the woman I was coaching with ducked, and I got nailed square in the face. First serve of the first game I ever coached volleyball.
Oh,
that seems. I feel like it can only get better. You know,
and the whole everybody got. You hear like the entire gym. Oh, and I was just like, I'm fine.
You're not fine though. You just gotta say you're fine.
Well, no, I mean I have a high pain tolerance, so you're fine.
I'm very afraid of, like, when I play soccer, like I'm afraid of getting hit with the ball. But I'm like, but I've been hit with a soccer ball.
I hated.
Maybe not by accident to the face, and I was like, it wasn't that bad. I'm like, it's a lot. You build it up in your head too, I guess.
Oh, I hated playing soccer when I was a little kid because everybody was too kicky. Like, I'm like, they're not actually getting the ball. They're just all kicking each other. This is a waste of my time.
That's just Fight Club. I'm telling you, people just want to fight. You're like, they want excuses to fight, and you're like, I feel like we're missing out on. It's like, hey, if you can buy a gun, why can't we just fight in the street? Just agree to fight and go for it.
That's why I think recess should be mandatory through 12th grade.
Yes.
They need that time.
College
to just
too.
College is recess.
Give me recess in my job, like.
Okay, you know what? We had Monday night drinking club in college. Okay?
I don't know where the fucking 15-minute breaks and 30-minute lunches went. That shit went out the fucking window.
I ran with the rugby players in college. So.
Oh God.
Mm-hmm.
It's
just
gonna be a rough time.
It was insane and awesome. But you know what? Like, I felt a lot safer with them than I did with the frat dudes.
Oh, come on! Nobody feels safe. The frat dudes don't feel safe with the frat dudes. Let's be honest. That's that time. Sorry, it's people.
Every one of them frat dudes who drop out of college end up as a cook, and let me tell you, I have been sexually harassed and sexually molested more times by men than I think any other woman could say. Shit's not fun.
Okay.
Oh, my ex, who was a chef, he used to get sexually harassed by the local weatherman.
It's not a fun job.
See,
I know.
Like, I have the full, like, I could definitely pass as like ogre under the bridge, no problem. Like, I'm big enough, broad enough, angry enough. I could pass for it. It could work. A little bit of face paint and I'm good. But the funny thing is that even with that, like, people have always, like, I've been very careful to be like, I don't want people to freak out. Like, I'm coming around the corner. That happened twice. One lady literally dropped everything. Just ran, and I'm like, I was just walking by. Guy, so you gotta remember.
I'm really good at accidentally sneaking up on people, but no, I'm serious. Like, I'm sorry. Should I put a bell on or something?
Listen, okay. At my biggest, I was definitely 100%. I weighed in. I saw the numbers at 450. Okay, I've lost a lot. I'm down to 364. Okay, so like I've lost.
No, you it's don't look 364. Like, no, I get it. I'm like medium boned, so like. People, like, when I tell people how much I weigh, they're like, no, you don't. I'm like, yeah, I do.
Listen, that's the great part is, like, if I kind of like walk around the corner, it's like that's a wall. You're like, it's just kind of. I have done that one time. A couple of comedians got into a fight, and they threw one guy out, and he wanted to get back in, and I just walked in the door and just turned around and just stood in there, in the doorway. I'm like, that was fine. They're like, one person's like, excuse me, sir, can I get in? And I'm like, I don't know. Are they allowed in? So I'm like, I don't want to turn around just in case. They're like,
so you're
yeah,
like the
she's cool. And I'm like, all right, you can come in. And she was like, okay. And I'm like, there you go. I'll just stand here for a while.
You're like the accidental bouncer.
Yeah, well, that happens a lot. I went to a show. Mark Norman was in Toronto, and he went to a show, and I was standing outside, and they're like, are you the bouncer? And I was like, no. They're like, really? I'm like, yeah, no, I'm just standing here, hanging out. Okay, Mark Norman a fist bump. That was it.
Yeah, that was like growing up where people were like, oh, I bet you play basketball. No, I don't. I actually did the opposite. I was a gymnast, like the worst sport possible for my height.
That's true. Oh yeah. I remember a couple teachers always wanted to play. There were certain teachers, they always wanted to play dodgeball too.
Oh, God.
Sons of bitches. Especially like even just like when you're going through puberty and you start getting muscles and you're able to do things, you're like, it's still not man muscle where you're like, oh yeah, it's a laser ball right to your face. And he's like, oh, walk it off, loser. And you're like, fuck.
Oh my God. I remember for some reason they had like a wrestling, like, it was like a scrimmage. It was like a wrestling scrimmage during school in middle school.
Nice.
It was like so a Royal weird. Rumble. It was so weird. And of course, like one of the most obnoxious dudes in our grade comes out in a singlet, and you know where I'm going with this, right?
I feel like
it was like an entire. It was like 80 kids trying not to burst out laughing.
Yeah, because it's hilarious. Like anytime,
like, and he was like weird. Like I'm like, no, I'm sorry, he was like legit weird. Like he was smart, but in like a really creepy way, and like. And not in a way where he was like a really good student, but he was a try-hard, and it was so off-putting. Like, and I mean, and then I think he got like addicted to steroids when he went, like, he transferred to like another school and got addicted to steroids. And
that's a good drug to get addicted to.
It was really weird.
You know what? So this past week, I met up with a friend of mine. I've known her since grade 2. Mm-hmm. And we were talking about stuff, and it was just like we both were talking about like how we will talk to our spouses about how we want something done, or how we'll talk about something at work or something like that. And we both realized we do the same thing. And I was like, oh, where did that come from? And then we just kind of try to figure it out. And I'm like, grade 4 teacher, maybe? Very possibly that we had in common. I'm like, oh, that's really weird. And now we're trying to figure it out. But I'm telling you,
that's like finding out that somebody you're banging might be your cousin, I think. Right?
How did?
No. Maybe surprise. Maybe I don't think
it's
so.
All the same. Like, oh, we got. So, is it Stephanie, Aunt Stephanie, or is it Uncle Tom? Like,
that's, you know what? Like, I'll be honest with you. It's not. That's one of those things where I hear about, and I'm just like,
oh, well, it's happened with like not in a dating situation, but like I've seen students like try to work out if they're related or not.
That's who was there's a whole Reddit dedicated to that where it's like people tell stories about how they're like, oh, grew up in a small town. And it was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna work with that person for my project.
In a small
and they're like, don't you dare work with that family.
Them?
What?
No, it's on Reddit.
You grew up in a small town.
Yeah.
How do you not know who your cousin is?
Well, no. Sometimes you can grow. Like I didn't have any relatives in the small town that I moved to and then finished growing up in.
Yeah.
Like everybody else had relatives at least like within like a half an hour's distance. Mine were at least 3 hours away. So that was weird for me.
What happened to me was I went to go see family in my mom's hometown. And I met a girl, and then it turned out to be meeting some more family. So
that's why you brought it up, because Cole, you just really needed to process this some more.
I mean, this was years ago. Like,
I know,
my
but it
dad had
sounds
been
like
19 years old at the time.
Still ridiculous.
No, I was comparing it to his situation where they're like, "Oh, we had second grade together." Or we have
I love that you're trying to criticize
mom and
longevity
together.
of my friendships in my life, and that makes me laugh on the inside quite a bit.
I cannot imagine keeping a friend that long because I say fuck shit up all the time.
Oh, to the point where we've been like super, like we were talking right now where we're both in a very good place, both like just in our marriages respectively and just emotionally, careers and all that kind of stuff, where it's like weird things are happening. It's good. But we were like, yeah, there's been times where it's like we've been supportive of each other when we've been down over decades. And
yeah,
she's like,
that's how my best friends are.
Yeah.
And you know what? I actually did like several years ago. I did, and we're still like friends on social media. I did reconnect with my elementary school like sweetheart.
Okay, lost really?
Well, no, but like we were like genuinely close. Like even after he moved away, like we still like saw each other like 2 summer, like when he would come back to visit his grandparents or whatever. Like, we were really, it was really nice. And he's like, happily married dad, great. He's a lawyer, but we turned out to be so similar, like same interests, same sense of humor, everything. And it's really cool to know that, like, hey, like maybe I had good instincts. Like,
for sure. Then. Oh, absolutely. See, this is where it's that weird kind of thing that I think about where you're wondering is like, at what point, like, I know it's kind of like a little bit of a Debbie Downer statement, but it's like there was a time when you hung out with your friends and played outside, and that was the last time you were ever going to do that. And you didn't realize, and you're like, yeah, damn it. Like, but that's part of growing up, right? Good for you, Serge. Having a friend is great too. Yeah. So, mine, trust me. I have great stories.
Dino, you and Atlas are my oldest friends at this point.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Well, I met them in March.
No.
So.
well,
and I technically only met Atlas last month in real life. So.
I didn't really get to hear about how that whole thing went down.
Oh.
We both got
I mean, Atlas sent me a bunch of like pictures of you guys drunk together, but
Atlas was never drunk. I'll tell you that much. He was high on his medication, is what that was. His seizure medication. And he didn't want to. And I was really mad at him for not sharing because it looked awesome. But whatever. Started slurring his words and shit. I was like, I want what you got.
Hook me up.
I feel like if Aaron Paul's character from Breaking Bad had a little brother, it would be you, Cole.
He did have a little brother in that show.
Okay, but like an active little brother, like more his right-hand man kind of thing.
I feel like that show is way too dark for my personality.
I know. You'd be on Better Call Saul.
Yeah.
I still haven't started watching that. I know it's. I
haven't either.
It's gone well. I gotta tell you, it turns out eventually just as good as Breaking Bad. But the first 2 seasons are rough. You're like, but it all comes
like
together
Breaking
eventually.
Bad, then.
Yeah, pretty much. Breaking Bad started rough too. I forget about that.
Yeah, that's why. Like, I kept up with what was happening, but I couldn't actually watch it. It was too dark and intense for me, at least
it is
at the time.
Well, like that's the thing.
And I bleak shit is like my jam, but for some reason, like I don't know, I couldn't do it with Breaking Bad.
Yeah, I feel that.
This is the funny part. The older I get, the more I realize where I'm like, life in and of itself is hilarious, dramatic, crazy. Then you're like, oh, and then you add like just crazy things like drugs or a Christmas party or a birthday, and you're like, oh, then all hell breaks loose. You're like, that's what life does. It's insane. You're like, okay.
Oh yeah, I mean that's been it since like childhood for me, but yeah.
seems accurate.
Well,
It's
then,
just-
To answer your kind of statement, Kealeen, Dino taught me a word not too long ago. I think, what is it called? A hedonist, a hedonist? And that's what, kind of lifestyle I live by, apparently. Not like any,
See,
I don't mean to.
I don't think you're motivated enough to actually, like...
I'm definitely, it's not a philosophy. It's just a general, like, will to live thing.
Hedonism takes the effort.
I feel like Cole would be a bartender at an orgy.
He would be
like,
a bar back.
I could do stuff, but
not
like
a bartender, he'd be a bar back.
Yeah,
bar
just
back
like,
for sure.
I
I
just want
would
to hang out, smoke a joint in the back, bring some stuff around.
I actually have a mixologist license. So there's that, in case y'all want to have an orgy at some point.
I feel like that's not a real
What does that have to do with...
I'm just saying, like, if y'all are saying, if I could be the bartender at an orgy, if y'all want to host an orgy, I know a bartender myself.
No, hedonism, again, it just seems like it's too much effort to be, like, depraved.
All of it. It's hard.
I don't know what it is.
Huh?
It's like intentional. It's living an intentionally depraved life.
Yeah.
Why is it depraved? It seems pretty happy to me.
No. Like, I mean, yeah,
theoretically.
Like, you, like, purposely seek to live outside of what is considered socially acceptable.
Yes.
I don't do that on purpose. It just works out that way.
Exactly. So, like, but
convenient.
these people do it purposefully.
Yeah, no, that's too much work for me.
Exactly.
The minute things start going good for me, my car breaks down. So I don't really I can't really afford to try hard.
I got 3 flat tires in a year once. So.
Oh, that's the worst. I've actually been driving on a flat for 6 months.
Oh, boy.
I just keep putting air in it. So every day, every morning before work.
I went through that a couple months ago. Yeah.
It's fine for me. Like, eventually I'll get in. I'm planning on getting a new car come February, so I'm hoping the tire will just last.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Thank you, Serge. There is no normal. That's exactly.
Oh, I know. That's a whole nother existential conversation.
Here's my question. If there was a normal, I don't believe that normal exists. I think it's a figment of our imagination, right? It's like a movie and certain things, right? But even if it did exist, I feel like it would be too boring. It would just not be an enjoyable. It's too monotonous, like that. It would slowly erode your brain, kind of thing.
It makes me nervous.
Yeah.
Because I just would be waiting for the other shoe to drop.
All the time. I feel like that's the real trauma of
trauma.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, that seems weirdly accurate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, wait till you see my life start going good for a couple of weeks in a row. That's when I start getting paranoid.
I feel
exactly.
Grandois paranoid, like schizophrenia, because my mom is on that spectrum, so I have those tendencies at times where I'm just like, the world's out to get me. Things are going too good right now. All bad things happen in threes, and not one of them has started yet.
That's a little OCD right there. But yeah, it was just like Thanksgiving was really like for both my mom and myself, it was like emotionally exhausting, and it didn't really hit us until we got through it because I was so scared because of what had happened last year.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to, like, once we got through that, once we got into December, and it's almost like unsettling how good I'm feeling right now compared to where I was a year ago. Yeah. Like, I didn't even get to see my Christmas tree last year. It got put up and taken down before I got home from the hospital. But this year, I dragged it up 2 flights of stairs and put it up my damn self.
Nice. I was talking about this on another panel. Serge, I don't think you were acting crazy.
You're better than me.
Yeah, you're fine.
I dragged that in myself.
Yeah, we have. My wife put it up yesterday, I think, or the day before, because she's like,
"Damn, late much, huh?"
I don't really. I see. That's the thing is because I wasn't raised celebrating birthdays or Christmas. It's like it's not a
Oh
thing for me.
yeah, that's right.
I'm
Y'all
like,
Why? Were
hated
you a Jehovah's Witness or
happiness.
something?
yeah, I was.
Oh. Oh
So,
shit.
so I was raised a Jehovah's Witness. I was a Jehovah's Witness as an adult. I was married as a Jehovah's Witness. Then I got divorced, and I said, "Hey, I think I'm gonna
I'm gonna
bounce."
try being happy every once in a while.
No,
Why
it
do
wasn't
I
even
always
that.
make really good friends with ex-cult members? I'm
So,
serious. I
no,
think
no,
it's
no.
like because I grew up around like the cult of early evangelicalism.
Sure.
I
See,
wasn't in it, but I grew up around it.
the difference with my experience was that for my dad, the thing denied to him as a youth was a relationship with God. Religion was kind of forbidden. You could only talk to the priest, and that was it. Right. So, like, you couldn't buy a Bible in Greece. You couldn't do those things. So, for
Okay.
him, it was like a forbidden
So
thing that it was that connection that he wanted. But he would even be like, "Hey, don't talk with that family. They're weirdos. Don't." Like, he was, yeah. So
Like,
it wasn't weird, but
oh, speaking of Fight Club, like as a Catholic, when we moved to the small town, like I wasn't in like this Catholic bubble. Like I was raised Catholic, but my mom always encouraged me to have a very like interfaith mindset.
Which is healthy.
And respect. Yeah, and respect. I went to a Jewish preschool.
Sure, why not? Why not?
Well, I mean, she wanted me to have like the best education like in preschool. Like she she was principal at the parish where Mike Pence met Karen Pence when they met. Wow. And I'm just saying it was considered a hot spot for conservative gay men to meet each other. I'm just saying.
Allegedly? We're just gonna say allegedly.
No, not allegedly. No, I mean it was. It was actually considered a very like it was notable. That parish was notable for how like
that's what
openly accepting they were of the gay community.
Well, hey, and
Karen played guitar there. My mom didn't even remember her until I read a Rolling Stone article and connected the dots. And I said, "Mom, you were principal there." She was like, "Oh God, that was her. She was that lady who played guitar. God."
Yes.
No,
that's the thing. It's,
yeah, but anyways, like when we moved to my small town, when I was just before I turned 11. Being Catholic was like Fight Club.
Yeah, that's true.
It was the first, like we were just like what? Because like we never experienced like aggressive anti-Catholic attitudes before. Like, and my small town had like I think it had like some like the largest number of churches per capita of like any town. And there was a sizable Catholic population in that little town, but you didn't talk about being Catholic.
Oh my God, I feel like it was like the gangs of New York.
Yes.
My baby mama was Catholic, and that is the best cardio plan in life. Is like because you got to go like Wednesday and Monday and Sunday, and you just stand up and sit down, stand up and sit down, stand up and sit down, and peace be with you. And so
okay, but when I grew up, we didn't do the holding hands and shit. That got weird.
Man, I was not a fan of
it. That was weird.
I grew up a Baptist, so like we didn't talk to people. You know what I mean? We didn't dance. We didn't drink wine. We ate crackers. You know what I mean?
I didn't have wine at my first communion.
I'll tell you,
because that way it was like it was like the early conservatism. It was like it was the end of the Reagan years, beginning of the Pappy Bush years. So it was like you can't give these kids alcohol. So.
Bunch of bastards like drinking moonshine. They're like, no, don't give him the church wine.
Well, actually, my mom actually used to be the assistant superintendent for the Fort Wayne South Bend Diocese, and then she was like, my kid needs braces and like decent health insurance, and they were like, we'll give you a promotion to superintendent. We still haven't fired that guy or told him he's going to be fired, but I don't. But you'll get a little bit more money that you could like try to buy her braces or whatever. So she left it. She was like, I'm tired of dealing with this bullshit, and she went to the public sector. But the bishop of the diocese actually got exiled to South Bend because he was one of the whistleblowers in Boston for like.
Spotlight. Oh, for real? Good. Mm-hmm. You see, that's God. That's the other thing where I'll be honest with you. Like, yeah, I went around knocking on doors like Saturday morning, all for 20 years, right? But at the same time, I went and visited friends. Like, they were like, "Oh, do you want to come to our church for whatever?" And I'm like, "Sure." And they're like, people were like, "Peace be with you." And I'm like, "Why is everyone shaking hands? This is all weird to me." It was very, very peculiar.
Do you know how many times I've answered a door in my underwear to your people?
That's because you're a degenerate. See, you think that's
you don't come knocking on my door on a Sunday. I'm sorry. I don't care who you are.
Remember that scene, the opening scene of the movie Friday?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's been a while since I've seen that movie.
I was like, "Oh, fuck you!" Like those two old ladies were like, "Well, fuck you, motherfucker."
Fuck you.
And then there was the guy, the FBI agent, who posed as Jehovah's Witness at the end of Clue.
Of what? At the end of what?
The movie Clue.
The new one?
Did he?
What?
Did he really? I don't even remember that.
Yeah, he had his little copy of like the Watchtower.
You gotta rewatch that.
Seriously, it's like one of the greatest movies ever. You want to talk about being friends? You want to talk about being friends with somebody like from the time you were kids, like you bonded over like movie, like those cult movies like that.
Oh yeah.
Like my best friend and I bonded over initially when we met. We bonded over Clue and Newsies.
That's reasonable. Clue's a great movie though too.
It's like perfect.
Yeah, well, that's the best part. Actually, so I watched. We watched today. What the hell was it? We watched a movie that I found very funny. I don't think other people found it funny in the audience, but it was The Menu.
I want to see that. I'm really interested to see that.
It was exceptionally good.
That's what I heard too.
It was a unique experience. Just the way everything got delivered. Highly recommend, but also like a lot of the time I was laughing just because it was just so
on point.
Yeah, and poetic where you're just like, that makes it. It was very, very micro and macro, right? It was broad ideas, but also where you're going, but it also applies to this tiny insignificant moment.
Well, again, my longest relationship I was ever in, he was a professionally trained chef and a sommelier. And I mean, those people, they can either be like great people or they can be monsters. Most of the time, they're monsters. Yeah, so something like The Menu would really appeal to me.
It was, and that also plays a role. That idea of people who
that's what I thought.
And both sides of it. It's very, very, very enjoyable. And Ralph Fiennes. God,
Rafe.
Voldemort is
Rafe. How dare you? His name is Rafe.
It's not though, because it shows. I think it showed Ralph.
What? No, I mean it's spelled Ralph, but it's pronounced Rafe. I don't know.
Is it?
Yeah, I don't.
I've been saying it wrong for years.
This is the thing, because it used to be spelled differently. I remember.
No, I know. It's like how they say Ralph Lauren now, but back in the 80s, it was Ralph Lauren.
That's true.
That's just from general idiocy of my generation.
You don't understand.
No, it was a marketing. It was a marketing gimmick.
Yeah. When you change a name, it rejuvenates things, right? It gives things a new thing. The way I look at it is, if one religion is completely right, the world would be a different. Yeah, that's. This is the thing: is that believing in God is one thing, and even then, if you just believe that we aren't the top of the food chain of the universe. Even just believing that is enough. Not believing in people and organizations, absolutely. People are the worst. 0 stars. Do not recommend. They're the worst. Don't even bother.
The worst.
That is one of the. That's, every once in a while, I will drop the "Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious." Yeah.
Hey, John. John Ralphio.
Mona Lisa Saperstein. Money, please.
Hey, watching the Fonz tell Aziz Ansari that it's like, because I will ruin you. You're like, that's the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. Because it's the Fonz. He's so nice. Like, do you remember in Little Nicky gets stung by bees and he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry." And
do you watch the reality show he did?
No, but I've heard about it where it's like it's just hilarious.
Yeah, Shatner, Terry Bradshaw, George Foreman, and Henry Winkler.
It's just old people. Oh God, that would be great.
And they go traveling to different countries.
See, that's the kind of party I want to go to.
And of course, William Shatner is a giant dick, and he gets so pissed at Henry for like stopping to take pictures and sign autographs with everybody. I just thought, you're just jealous, dude.
Yeah, because I mean, like, I've never understood the William Shatner love. Like,
oh God,
the dude is from Star Trek of all things. You know what I mean? Chris Pine made Star Trek like fun and interesting. You know.
And Chris Hemsworth. I'm still waiting for that movie.
I forget he's in that. Because I'm so much associate him with Thor now.
Great. Yeah, I cry when I watch that. I'm like,
oh yeah, like you
God. Saved your son, and then you named him. You're like, oh Tiberius, Jesus Christ!
No.
Yeah, he's like, that's the worst. You're like, it is the worst that he should have it to commemorate your family. Oh, Jesus. Yeah, it's horrible.
And remember when and then that sequence went to Beastie Boys Sabotage? So good.
Listen, and honestly,
Trekkies.
It had to go off the cliff. It just had to. It's the perfect. And that song, listen, to this day, if that song comes on, by the way, so I just got my dad left me his Cadillac. I kind of mothballed it during the pandemic. I've got it back on the road, but the thing is, it doesn't, like, it only has radio. So I'm listening to the radio again. So it's like the weirdest fucking like old stations. And then my dad has like all these Greek CDs that he's burned over the years. So I'm listening to my dad's music and I'm just like, I don't give a shit. And I'm like, that's fine. I understand it.
That's so great.
It's a weird.
Is it like cathartic?
It's healthy, but I don't know. But you know.
Yeah. It's like therapeutic and traumatic at the same time.
Kind of. Well, yeah. That's the thing is, it's also like it's a nice Cadillac, so it's like people are like, shit, that's a nice car. I'm like, hey, yes, it is. My dad loves.
Man, having a dad is awesome. I can't wait till I get one.
Yeah, that was kind of mean. I did not mean to laugh that hard. I'm sorry.
No, I get it. Like, I've got one that's dead and one that is, I'm not sure.
Can I have one of them? Like, shit.
It's
no. I'm doing you a favor, dude.
Just the thing is that even like it's. I was talking to my wife about this. I'm like, even when you have like two bad parents, like not like two bad parents that still love you, like they're bad parents but they still love you. Like I'm like, is like it's just to share the workload. Kids are so much damn work. You're like.
Oh no, that's the thing. Like when I was a kid, I never wanted to play with baby dolls because it just seemed like I was like unnecessarily stressful. Like, why would I want to like practice being a mom?
Like and I know for myself, like I'm the youngest of 5, and my oldest sibling is 12 years older than I am. So it's like by the time I came out, my dad had started his own business. We had a house. Everybody was functioning. It was like I just came in and I was like, all right, I'm just gonna sit here and do nothing. You guys look like you got everything, so I'll just hang out. It's no problem. Yeah.
See, I went from being an only child to being the youngest in a blended family. So it was, so it was just like I went from being like, and my mom is like superhero. She was always like my mom, my dad, everything. But everybody around her was like, "Oh, you need to get married. You need to meet somebody again."
You do not have to.
And
no matter how much they tell you.
But I was like the one that was gonna he was gonna correct all the mistakes he made with his own kids on me. So like instead of being the kid that like you don't pay attention to, it was like
you got
it was like you work twice as hard to get half as much.
I gotta be honest with you, Kealeen. Being a parent is not as stressful as everybody tries to make it out to be. This is all you gotta do. You like see this button? That says popcorn. You see that over there? That's where the popcorn is. You take the plastic off and you put it in there and you hit that button and then you go watch TV until it beeps and then you're good and you can watch a movie. And then I go back to bed. So you know what I mean? Cereal's up there, milk's down here.
Yeah, I'm the one. I'm the one who had to teach your kid when you weren't making him popcorn.
There you go. Thank you. I feel like your son's argument might be like, "Hey, I can wipe my own ass."
You know what? I had to get creative with it because he wasn't learning how to read. He just was like, "I don't want to learn to read," and I'm like, "You know what? You have to. Do you know why? Do you know why, son? Because I don't know how. You got to learn so you can teach me." And then suddenly he wanted to learn how, so that Dad, do you know how to? This is THE. That spells the. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's crazy.
That is not a healthy way to do that. Just I know it works, but I really don't think.
I have to find
your boy's gonna quit school and say, "My dad can't."
Do you know how many creative ways I've had to figure out? But it has to be along with the state standards. You have to teach kids to solve a math problem in this exact way, or else they won't get full credit, even if they get the right answer. Kids who get the wrong answer could get more points on a standardized test because they did the crazy steps that are required.
See, that for me was always a problem in school, where it's like that, because even when I was in school, I was like, well, hold on, you guys are marking because you enjoy this person's company and they do exactly what you say. That's not a mark. That's favoritism. That's not how that works. Don't be an asshole. No, this is what I was. I'm not saying you. I'm just
no. We're talking about like how are the administrators, the department heads, and the state are going to judge us by looking at a booklet of a student filling in, the different squares just so to come up with a solution to a math problem.
It's the worst part.
I didn't know I was good at math until I started teaching it, because I saw kids overthink it the way I did when I was in school.
Makes sense. How do you because I know there's the new math and you're like, okay,
it's all about concepts now. They don't want to do any kind of rote memorization, but you need that kind of thing to like have those arsenals in your, like, to rely on when, as you learn like bigger concepts and more complicated concepts.
See, I apologize. I keep on pointing at both of you. It's very rude, so I apologize. But I
don't find pointing all that rude. I don't understand what the big deal is.
It makes me feel special when people.
See, yeah, this is the positive. This is the positive reinforcement and attention he did not get as a child.
I've made.
Oh, you're looking at me? Hell yeah! I know for a fact he's pointing right at me. Mm-hmm. Listen. Let me listen to what he says. Please zone back in. Reassociate.
It's not. No, this is the I don't even remember what I was going to say. Hold on. Serge said that's why it's cool. Yeah, no, it's being able to like, I would argue with teachers and they would get mad because like having the experience of knocking on doors, you know how to talk, have a conversation with somebody, and really, go back and forth. You learn because you discuss very heated conversations, yet you have to stay cool, right? So
we're like cops.
Listen,
the jaded cops.
Well, guy. Listen, I'm 6 feet and 300 pounds, and I have a guy. I'm standing at his door, going, "Hello, I'm in a pressed suit, talking about the Bible," and he starts poking me in the chest, and I'm like,
no!
I would listen. That was a regular thing, and I'm just like, "You have a good day, sir, and keep reading your Bible. Bye bye." And just
because you're on the side of Jesus.
I've had guys start poking me, like as I turn around, they start poking me in the back, like, "Yeah, you better," and I'm just like.
I mean, you did knock on his door. I'm not saying what he did was right, but you started it. Like,
I'm not saying I didn't start it. What I'm saying is, when you do things like that in a position where it's the whole idea where people go, "Well, what are you going to do about it?" You're just trying to elicit a reaction, right? And you're like, "That's not favorable. I know what you're trying to do." The best part was one guy did, and I was maybe taking these supplements that kind of made me a little bit weird during high school.
Okay, what, gas station pills?
No, I did get them at like an actual health food store.
Did you take like the InfoWars supplements?
No. It wasn't that bad. They didn't exist back then.
But this was fucking steroids.
It was like something, I forget. It was like because remember, like those kind of supplements were not regulated at all
like
in the 90s.
Jackets or something?
No, it was this thing that was like, oh, it's going to bump up your metabolism, and I think it might have just been caffeine or something. I don't know, but
yeah, like no-dose or something.
It was something, but it was specifically to help you work out in your recovery time and stuff. And people were like, "Oh, it's not as bad as creatine," and I'm like, "I'm pretty sure this is worse." But okay.
Oh my god, so many of my guy friends were like,
yeah. So
you could see them like.
Oh, you just get more aggressive as a posture, and you
could see them like retaining all this fluid in their bodies.
Oh, it's not healthy.
Like I'm like, you look weird.
Point at me, I'm ready. But that's the whole thing. Was I'm like, I had one guy where he's like, "Listen," and I did a little kind of jerk forward, and he was like, "Ah!" and he fell down, and I'm like, "Oh, sorry, you must have lost your step. I apologize. Maybe you have a better day tomorrow. Sorry, sir. Have a great day. Bye." But I was just like, "Oh, I think I need a break. I need a coffee."
Dude, I never met a Mormon in my life, or not a Mormon, a Jehovah's Witness, until I moved to the Midwest.
Because it's huge around here.
Knock on people's door in Texas unannounced. You will have a gun in your face. Like, they don't do that shit down there. So when I came up here, I'm like, at the time I was anti-gun, so.
And Jones was talking, you're like, "Oh, I'm getting a gun."
Yeah, I mean, no, the COVID is what made me want to get a gun. That's a different. When the world started breaking down, I legit thought the apocalypse was happening. So I got a gun, but being anti-gun, I had to get creative, and these motherfuckers are knocking on my door. So I just answered to my underwear and then maintained perfect eye contact the entire time.
See, this is the thing. As I said, you think that makes them uncomfortable. No, it just makes them go, "Oh, he's poor. He can't afford pants. Poor guy."
It's in a good neighborhood.
He probably. Hey, that's why they're like, he might be a prostitute. Immediately, they're gonna assume like he's a working boy.
What he has like the Adidas pants that only have 2 stripes.
Dude, I have holes in my underwear. Like, it wasn't like.
It's got 7 Ds in the Adidas. It's not.
I mean, imagine doing your pitch. I don't know what your pitch is because I disassociate during conversations. But imagine whatever your pitch is. It's me. I'm in my underwear. I'm maintaining perfect eye contact, going in and out, not paying attention to what you're saying. And then you hand me a pamphlet. And I'm like, you know what? I'm good, man. Thank you. I'll see you next week.
Bro, you take that pamphlet, they're coming back. That's how it works.
I know. And then the thing is, I'm sure that they would follow it through because they just are like trying to figure out what makes you tick.
Fuck yeah.
Probably. See, that's the thing about me is I am not I'm an irritable human being when it comes to meeting people, but if I can put it in a situation where I'm having fun now, I am
Are
so
we having
polite.
fun yet?
I feel like Cole being irritated is like the nexus of the universe. Like First and First Avenue is where Cole gets perturbed. Like I feel like, as someone who literally just bothers people for a living, I feel like when you get offended, it's like the world, like
I don't get offended.
Superman turned the world
I get
backwards.
irritable and low energy, so I'd be like, I just go, what? How I fix the problem is I just go home. So if I'm in a situation where I can't go home yet, it gets worse and worse and worse.
You're like one of those animated creatures in a pharmaceutical commercial before it gets treated by the medicine.
That ass. For sure. My mental health is horrible right now.
I'm picturing the person on marijuana who flattens out on the bed on the couch, and they're like, "Oh, just so fun. They injected 2 marijuanas.
That is exactly how that happens
deflated."
too.
That's how it is. This has been.
No. You know what? He would like to say, "I learned it from you, Dad," because at least he'd know who his dad was.
Oh,
that's fantastic.
Right at me.
On that note, this has been Generation Dan. We didn't talk about anything we planned. This has just been a fantastic conversation.
Yeah, it's
been part to it.
And so, I'm from South Bend, but I am not related to the South Bend Shovel Slayer.
Thanks, everyone. We'll see you guys next week. We'll probably make fun of Atlas for not being here. We're going to tell him there were a bunch of inside jokes that he's not allowed to know. Just we're going to say it happened after the cameras fell. So see that, right? We're going to continue.
We left a bunch of Easter eggs in there for you.
Absolutely. We're going to continue this conversation privately, though, guys. So we'll see you later. Bye.